Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to the Toon Review YouTube channel. My name's Paul. Thank you so much once again for tuning in. Now, as we know, the transfer window is literally just around the corner. In about a week and a half's time, the window will open, or 2 weeks' time, whatever it is. And we know that Newcastle United are always going to be linked with a host of players that apparently the media think that we want to sign. Now, what I've seen this morning is two players that would fit the bill for positions that we actually need. That being a right winger and a striker. Now, I know some of you will come at me and say, yes, Paul, but we need a centre-back as well. I don't disagree with that. I think we do need another centre-back. However, given Botman's coming back, I would really just target a striker and a right winger. It's going to be very difficult to afford three positions in January. I mean, if we were to do that, it would be a hell of a window. But I don't think it's possible. I really don't. Not the way the club are talking about PSR and having to sell to buy, etc. We have to rely on other clubs coming in for some of our, dead wood, to say the least. Which, who's going to pay the wages? That's the big question. But one of the players that is mentioned with Newcastle today is Johan Bakayoko. Now, you will remember that he was linked with the club a couple of weeks ago, but only by really the Northeast media. Everything was quite quiet, especially from the Dutch side of things and from PSV Eindhoven. But a report from Belgian reporter Sacha Tavolieri today has indicated that the player himself would like a move to Newcastle United. And the other good thing about it is PSV will sell the player if the offer is right. Now, given that we've seen some crazy prices around for wingers and strikers, etc. this season and previous seasons, this guy would be available for around £25 million. Now, for me, for a player like him, a 21-year-old would be a snip, an absolute snip. Now, look, I'm not blind to the fact that I've seen some players come over from the Eredivisie who just haven't been good enough, who have failed in the Premier League. We as Newcastle United fans know damn well, with the De Jong brothers, etc., that sometimes it just doesn't work for the Dutch players. But we've also seen some Dutch masterclass players come over and be absolutely fantastic in the Premier League. And apparently this guy could well be one of those. And it takes all the negotiations, the difficulty away when a player wants to sign, and the club that's selling also would be open to selling given that the price is right. Now, if you look at the prices that, let's say, for Mbeumo is going to cost, for instance, you're probably looking at well in excess of 40, 50, 60 million from Mbeumo. The way he started the season, the fact that he's already Premier League proven, and Brentford are going to want a mighty fee for him if they're going to release him. So with the PSR issues in mind, and I'm only talking about PSR issues here because that's what Newcastle United keep mentioning. For me as a fan, I would love us to go and get Bryan Mbeumo. 100%. Why would any Newcastle United fan not want Mbeumo in a black and white shirt? But we also, on the flip side of that, we have to be realistic and realise that PSR is here. PSR is going to be very difficult to deal with. FFP is difficult to deal with. And we have to look at maybe looking at other options. And £25 million for this kid, for me, is a snip. 25 million, lay it on the table. Thank you very much. Let's get the deal done. Unless there is hidden money somewhere that we don't know about that they have prepared for Mbeumo. People talk about the 60, 70 million pound that was there in the summer for Mark Gahey. Where is that money now? Nobody knows. And that's the strange thing for me, that we had that money, we were bidding that money, yet now we can't, now we're being told that we have to sell to buy. It doesn't make any sense. But for me, like I say, Backayoko would be an excellent signing. The fact that the club will not stand in his way and the player himself is interested in a move to Newcastle, it says a lot, guys. So that is definitely one to keep an eye on once the transfer window opens, and PSV would let him go in the winter window. Now, another position for me that is very important that we cover is a striker. We simply cannot put our faith in Callum Wilson to be fit. I don't care what they say about, he's going to be off for 2 months, he'll be back after that. Anybody that believes that has simply got blinkers on because of what's happened to Callum in the past. We were all expecting it to happen again this season when he came back. It was getting delayed, and then he comes back as sub, a couple of games as sub, and he goes down again for 2 months. It's not Callum's fault. It's his body shutting down. Definitely, no doubt about that. But can we really rely on that being the case, that he's going to come back? We need another person and another striker there to push Isak. Isak, for me, I don't know whether you paid much notice to that last night, but I think he looked tired. He looked tired, especially into the second half. I expected Asula to come on a little bit sooner than he did, obviously, but he didn't. Isak looked tired, and we are going to rely on Isak over the next few weeks, over this Christmas period and into January, given that Wilson is down. Asula's come on a couple of times. He's done okay, but he's not the answer just yet. And for me, bringing in another striker would be a fantastic move from Newcastle. And that striker that's been linked today is Charles De Ketelaere. Now, De Ketelaere plays for Atalanta in Italy, current leaders of Serie A, of course, having a brilliant season over there. Newcastle United did try to sign this guy in 2022, but the old cliche, couldn't get the deal over the line, was the problem with that one. And he's now smashing in the goals for Atalanta. 8 goals and 9 assists for the Serie A leaders this season. He's 23-year-old and currently valued by Atalanta at around 40 million quid. Now, 40 million quid for a striker with the strike rate that he's got. Again, that's a really good price, guys. But I'm not saying that we can go right out now and sign a player of his calibre for 40 million quid. It just doesn't happen. If Atalanta know we're going to come calling, then I think, that price may rise quite substantially. 5 other Premier League clubs are interested in De Ketelaere. Some of them being Arsenal and, of course, Spurs. Some of the Premier League teams have been mentioned as well. I don't know where Newcastle United stand in it. Unlike Backayoko, Newcastle are front runners for him. It doesn't say anything about that being the case for De Ketelaere. But of course, we know that Newcastle United need a striker. Okay, there's many strikers across Europe or in England who've been linked with Newcastle United. But we do need a striker who is ready to go and has got experience. And De Ketelaere definitely falls under that. There's no doubt in my eyes. But the good thing about De Ketelaere is he can comfortably play on the right wing as well. So if we signed him and a right winger like Backayoko, we've then got Murphy in the squad. We've got a lot of options then. The left-hand side for me, Gordon and Barnes, we've got options there. And then we'd have options on the right-hand side for me as well, which would be a fantastic move for Newcastle. So De Ketelaere is certainly on the radar. But let me know in the comments if he's a striker that you would very much like to have. He has been sort of linked with being the same sort of striker as Isak. The same clinical striker that Isak is. So probably not a bad player to have around. Now, finally, I want to talk about Troy Deeney. And this guy seems to just insult us Newcastle United fans and Geordies in general and people that live in the Northeast on regular occasions. Now, Deeney has spoken to he was on some American football show and he was completely disrespectful, again, just like Agbonlahor was a few months ago, about living in the Northeast. Now, this is what he said, so take it as you want, but this is what he said on TV. It's right at the top of the country. I don't want to be disrespectful. Well, when anybody says I don't want to be disrespectful, you know for a fact that they're going to be disrespectful, but it's not a desirable place to go and live because you're so far away from London. It's like 4 or 5 hours. Who gives a monkey's arse how far it is away from London? Don't get me wrong, guys. London has some beautiful places. Some really, really nice places. But in general, it's a shithole. Right? And even people that have lived in London have turned around and said, it's a shithole. And that's exactly what it is. There's some very expensive parts of London, but you have to be a sodden millionaire to live in the nice areas. But some of it is an absolute dump. And Newcastle and the Northeast is an absolutely beautiful place to live. People that come to visit don't want to leave. They want to stay. We've seen Newcastle United players in the past who've signed from southern clubs have ended up spending the rest of their lives up here. Why? Because it's a fantastic place to live. The people are so friendly. It's cheaper than London to live in. It's a beautiful place. The coastlines, the tourism, everything is there. Yes, the weather isn't as good, right? That's the one thing that lets us down in the Northeast is we don't get the blazing hot summers that the people down south do. But really, to play football, you're getting the summer off. You can go where the hell you want if you're not involved in international tournaments, etc. But he went on to say, it's difficult to get people there. I'll come on to that. To get investment there. Oh yeah, PIF would just want to spend absolutely billions of pounds in the area, you buffoon. But they're going to have to do it. They must have known it before they bought it because these guys are not stupid people. Yes, Troy, you've just made an absolute fool of yourself by what you've just said there. Talking about PIF buying Newcastle, they must have done their homework, i.e. yes, it's a fantastic place to live. And by the way, Troy, I'm not sure whether you know, mate, but it has a train station, which comes direct from London, and also a fucking airport, where you can jump on in an aeroplane and be in London in less than an hour. You cockwomble. I mean, these people will go to extremes to slag off the Northeast. They really, really will. And it doesn't matter what we as Northeasterners say, they will always put the boot in on the Northeast. Because they've got this impression that there's a dark cloud always over the Northeast. The sun never shines. It rains all the time. Well, fuck me. It doesn't rain as much as it does in Manchester or Liverpool. The Northwest gets the most rain, not us. But I tell you what we don't get in weather, we make up for personality, for the people, for the coastline. The area is absolutely beautiful. And who is Troy Deeney anyway? You know, an ex-footballer who achieved fuck all in the game has now come out and given a completely disrespectful remark about the area that we live in. You know what? Just stay down south, Troy. We don't care. We don't even bother with you. You're just a lucky guy who got a little bit of punditry, but you're making your fat gob go about the Northeast. Pathetic, mate. Honestly, it's the same as Agbonlahor. You know, he achieved absolutely fuck all. He's become irrelevant until he became on the radio, and then he started slagging the Northeast off, just like this cockwomble does. Honestly, it just beggars belief what these guys say about the area that we live in. It really is. And it shouldn't be allowed. You know, you have no opinion. You've never lived here. You do not know what the Northeast is like. These people they've spent a couple of hours here playing football, and that's it. They've never toured the area. They've never seen what absolutely fantastic people we are, what a beautiful place it is. It's disrespectful to the Northeast, to its people, and I'm afraid these people that air these chumps are absolute muppets. Absolute muppets. Think it's undesirable. You look in the mirror every morning, son, and that's undesirable, you prick. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think of these new snippets down in the comments below. If you're watching this on Thursday afternoon, we will be back tonight live at 7 o'clock, and that is for the Ipswich Town preview. We'll also take a look back on the performance last night. But in the meantime, please give it a like if you've enjoyed the video, and of course, subscribe if you're new as we head towards 34,000 subscribers. But in the meantime, we'll catch you very soon. Take care.